Is your home secretly stressing you out? In today's episode, we're going to dive into what clutter really is, how to tell if your space is disorganized, and why it might be affecting more than just your home. So by the end of this episode, I will have taken you through a checklist deciding whether you struggle with clutter or not in your home, and then give you actionable steps to reclaim your space and create that peaceful environment that you really do desire. So let's dive in. Hey friend, welcome to Modern Homemaker Mom. Feeling stuck in the chaos? Do you find yourself in survival mode juggling all the things? If you're ready to regain control of your home, schedule, and time for yourself, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Jynae, a wife, mom, and homemaker who turned my household chaos into purpose with simple, flexible routines. I'm here to help you create a cozy, clutter-free home and reclaim your time for what matters most. In this podcast, you'll find episodes around home routines, cycle syncing, and self-care practices so that you can eliminate the overwhelm and create a home that you love. Go grab that laundry basket and let's get started. Are you ready to finally tackle the overwhelm in your home and start creating a peaceful, clutter-free space? Come and join me in my free Facebook group, Simple Home Routines for Homemakers. It's a cozy, faith-filled space where we share practical tips, encouragement, and easy-to-follow routines to help you create a peaceful, clutter-free home. Whether you're looking for cleaning hacks, time management strategies, or just a supportive community of like-minded homemakers, this group is for you. Go ahead and open your web browser and search bit.ly/home routines or click the link in the show notes below to join us today. I can't wait to see you in there. Housekeeping aside, let's dive into how a messy space actually affects your mood and productivity. When I was a kid, I always loved and felt a need for having a clean space. I was 9 years old after my parents moved into a large house that they had just built, and I remember feeling so excited to have my very own room for the first time. Up until this point, I had always shared a room with my younger siblings. I was one of those kids who just loved having everything in order. I don't know what it was, but I was like this from a very, very young age. But at any point that my room would become messy and laundry would pile up on the floor, or I would let clutter in my room build up, I would literally lose sleep over it even at 9 years old. Some nights I would actually get out of bed in the middle of the night so I could properly tidy up my room in order to get the sleep that I needed. Can't really explain it, but the mess just made it difficult for me to relax. Then every time I gave my room this little refresh, it always felt so much better. I would even go into my younger siblings' rooms and tidy or organize their toys or their clothes as well, just because I enjoyed it that much. It gave me this overwhelming peace and satisfaction. So what's my point in bringing all of this up? Well, maybe you were or are just like me and you too are always bothered by clutter or disorganization that comes up in your home. And maybe you know how to tackle that clutter, but maybe you don't. Maybe you weren't raised in a way that you know where to start when it comes to tackling a mess. So regardless of how you were raised, at some point in our life, we all deal with clutter in our house. The important part is being aware of when that clutter has become a problem and we need to start taking action to get things back in order. So today, I'm going to walk you through a checklist I came up with that's going to help you diagnose whether or not you struggle with clutter in your home. So first things first, what even is clutter? Clutter refers to an overabundance of possessions that collectively create a chaos and disorganized space. This usually would look like items that are unused or unnecessary, or belongings that don't have a designated storage space, leading to disorganization. And why this matters is it actually affects your mental and emotional health. It also wastes a lot of time. Think about it. When things are in the way and your house is cluttered, you're constantly trying to shimmy, move around all that stuff. Or if you don't have organization, think about how much time is wasted trying to find things that you don't know where they are. Also, whether or not your house is large or small, if you're not properly organized and you have too much things and too much clutter in your house, it really diminishes the functionality of your space. So now that we know what clutter is, grab yourself a pen and a piece of paper or take a mental note or even open up the Notes app in your phone as I go through this checklist and then check off any points that resonate with your home and your habits. So number 1 is finding items. Do you often spend more than 5 minutes searching for everyday items like your keys or your phone? And then secondly, are you regularly frustrated by misplaced items? If either of these two things are something that you struggle with, and be honest with yourself, then put a check mark beside those things. Okay, number 2 is living space usage. Are any areas of your home not being used for their intended purpose? For example, do you have a garage full of boxes instead of a car? Do you have a dining table that's covered in mail and papers or storage bins? Do you have a spare bedroom that instead of being set up like a spare bedroom the way you'd like it to be, is it used as a storage space? But it really isn't actually a properly used storage space. It's just a whole bunch of stuff that you don't have a spot for it, and you just shove it all into that room and you close the door and forget about it. If you feel like you're resonating with what I just said, then make sure you check off that box. Okay, number 3 is emotional response. Do you feel stressed, embarrassed, or overwhelmed when you look or think about your home? Be honest with yourself. Have you avoided inviting people over because of the state of your space? Put a check mark beside this step if you feel like it's something you struggle with. Then number 4 is accumulated unused items. Do you own items that you haven't used in over a year? And I understand, depending on where you live, there's different seasons that we go through. So maybe there's a winter item that you're obviously not using in the summer, but I'm talking about over a year and a half. Usually this would be something like clothes. Is there clothes in your closet that you don't wear but you're keeping anyways? Are there duplicate items or unnecessary items taking up space that you really don't need? And then are you holding on to items just in case, quote unquote, you can't see my air quotes, without a clear plan to use them? Many times in my years, not that I'm super old, but many times in my years I've heard of people, oh yeah, I'm going to have this item, or I'm not going to get rid of this item because I might need it someday. Well, do we ever end up actually needing it? Or could we borrow it from someone else or rent it? I mean, you just have to think about, do I have the space to hold this and hold on to it? Or should I get rid of it so that we can optimize the space that we have? And I mean, sometimes space is used as an excuse. People with large homes or lots of storage, maybe you have a garage and a storage shed or a barn or things like that, a sea can. So it's easy to fill up space when we have it, but I think we actually need to get down to it and ask ourselves, do I truly need this? Even my husband and I, before we lived at the place that we're currently renting at, we lived in a tiny basement suite. I think it was 900 square foot, and there was no storage. There was no entryway closet. There were 2 tiny closets in the bedrooms. Each had a bedroom closet. And then there was one small closet kind of right off the kitchen, which I think was supposed to be the coat closet, but we used it as a pantry because there also was hardly any cupboard space. So we just had to live within our means. And now that we've moved to this next place, we're on a couple acres. We have a sea can, space for a sea can. There's a tiny storage shed in the backyard, and the home is a little bit bigger. Not a ton bigger. I'd say our house now is about 1,200 square feet, but it has a crawl space, a 3-foot crawl space that goes under the entire home. All I'm saying is we have a lot more space. And so before, when we didn't have the space, we lived within those means. Then we moved and now we have more space. So we've actually filled those spaces. Our sea can is full to the brim. Our crawl space is not full, but it does have stuff stored down there. All the closets are full. I wouldn't say we're unorganized. I'd say we're very organized. But my point of bringing this up is if you have the space, we tend to just fill it with stuff we don't need. And so me and my husband often are going through our stuff. Recently, actually, we went through our sea can and we decided, okay, what do we actually need and what can we get rid of? Like, what are we holding on to that we don't need to hold on to? Because we don't want to be the people that just hold on to clutter for no good reason. This is definitely not going to be our forever home. We only have one child right now, but I think we could make it work with our second child here, but not for much longer. I foresee us definitely moving away from this space because we'll need more space as far as the house goes. So just thinking about having to move all of this stuff again, both of us hate moving, packing everything up, taking trips to and fro, like it's not fun. And I'm sure you can relate to this if you've ever moved a bunch in your life before. I've moved several times in my years. And so I always like to try and have the mindset of keeping it more simple, have less stuff accumulated so that not only is it easier to move if we have to move, but it's just more efficient walking through your home, walking through your sea can, your storage spaces, when it's organized, optimized, and you don't have this clutter and unused items laying around. So as I'm walking you through this checklist, I'm also walking myself through this checklist, asking myself the same things. I would say my home feels pretty streamlined, but our storage shed or our sea can could use a bit of work. I'm not perfect here, and that's why I'm being transparent with you is just because I'm sharing this information with you doesn't mean I just live this professed perfect life where we just have no clutter and all of those things. It's just something that we're constantly having to revisit. You don't really get to a point where it's just perfect at the top and you feel like you're looking down and everything's organized. You've got all the systems in place and you don't have to worry about it ever again. It's not like that. Clutter accumulates over time. If you're still going shopping, if you're still buying things every week, every month, or a few times a year, obviously you're bringing more stuff into your home. So if you're not removing things from your home, you're not purging and thrifting or donating or whatever items that you don't maybe need anymore, it's going to accumulate and build up. So that's why it's important to revisit it. All right, so that aside, now let's determine what we're going to do next. We're going to look at your piece of paper if you took notes, like I suggested, and we're going to determine how many check marks we're seeing on your page. If you have a few check marks, you can celebrate that your clutter is minimal. But I would suggest that you stay proactive by regularly evaluating your belongings. Like I said, clutter builds up over time, it accumulates over time, so this is a constant thing that we're going to have to reassess. If you have a moderate amount of check marks, I would suggest that you start small, tackle one drawer in your kitchen or a closet to start the momentum, things going, get the ball rolling. If you have a lot of check marks, I just want to first say that don't feel or get caught up in feeling like clutter is a failure, because it's not a failure. This is a solvable problem. I would recommend that you create a game plan like decluttering for 15 minutes a day, or start with a high impact area that would make you feel like you're having a quick result. For example, if your kitchen counter is a mess, that would be a super high traffic area. I would recommend that you start there. Or maybe your dining room table. It depends on how your home layout is. If you can't even sit at the table to have meals, that would be a good spot to start decluttering and determine what you need to keep, what you need to get rid of. Remember, I don't expect you to get your home all in order all at once. The whole point is to start small, start in one spot, and work your way up from there. If you don't feel like you have the energy, don't take on a big project all at once. Like I've talked about in previous episodes, you should be also aligning these big big projects with your summer phase as far as cycle syncing goes. So if you want to learn more about that, go check out those episodes. But whether or not you feel like 15-minute increments of decluttering is making a difference or not, I can promise you that it is. It's better than not doing it at all and just allowing things to continue building up. So start small and work your way from there. So I've walked you through this checklist and we've diagnosed the problem. Now you have your homework for the week and the next steps to take. If today's episode has you nodding along and realizing that clutter might be holding you back, don't worry, you're not alone. This is just the start of the journey. In the next episodes I have coming up, we'll go over deeper into why clutter builds up in the first place and how it affects our lives beyond just our living spaces. I believe that making the first step to making a change in our lives is by understanding the root cause and the why behind it. So in addition to this, I'll be later sharing some simple strategies to tackle clutter step by step, no overwhelm, just progress. So while I gave you homework today to get started, you can rest assured that I will be diving even deeper into this specific topic on the steps you need to take to get your home in order, to start decluttering, get organized, where we'll explore the practical solutions to create a space that works for you and not against you. So if you've been feeling stuck, stay with me, hit subscribe so that you don't miss a thing, because you'll want to tune in for the episodes coming out over the next couple weeks. Before you go, if this podcast has encouraged or helped you in any way, the best way that you can show your support is by subscribing to the show and leaving a written 5-star review. Your words truly make my day and remind me why I love sharing here. You can also snap a screenshot of this episode and share it with a friend or post it to your Instagram stories. Make sure to tag me at Her Stable Home. Thanks so much for listening, friend. I will see you next time.